Welcome along to Man in the Mirror. It's Hayden Williams here, and I'm so delighted to let you know that my guest this week is Phill Tarling, who is a stylist. Hi, Phill.
I am a stylist, and I
He
am
is a
Phill.
stylist. I mean, that doesn't even cover it, but I should say I met Phill at an event last year. It was a male skincare event, actually, Shake Up, who are brilliant anyway, but I knew, he was a very stylish man. I knew he must be doing something in that realm, and we had a little chat. But then it kind of picked up on Instagram, and anyway, we've met on a couple of occasions at a couple of events, and I think part of Man in the Mirror is obviously to talk about self-image, self-care, and to find out about all sorts of different kinds of people. But I think, as well as thinking about grooming and skincare, of course, being holistic people as we are, it extends to what we look like and clothes and our sense of style. And there's no one better to talk about all of this stuff. And I should also add that this would have happened slightly sooner. And Phill was very kind because, sometimes we might go to a studio or a members club, or sometimes we do it like this on the Riverside platform. But I did go to Phil's house, and he was very kind, and he graciously invited me to his house last week to record it at home, which would have been great. I say would have been because we were all set to go. I'd had an amazing cup of coffee. We'd had a chat, seen seen how lovely Phil's house was. Anyway, we're all good to go, and then just the most embarrassing thing where the gremlins, the ghosts in the machine, the gremlins kind of failed, and it wouldn't record.
Pretty tense, wasn't it? It was pretty.
But I think I just got into a flap. So yeah, the recording wouldn't work. It was all distorted, and I kept trying to restart. And I think that thing when you kind of need to be in your flow, and nothing seemed to correct myself, and I just felt really embarrassed and self-conscious. And then we had a little try, but it still wasn't working particularly well. And I thought, you know what? Going to cut my losses, and so I had to sort of hot tail out of there with my tail between my legs. I was really embarrassed because Phil's time is precious, and I was using it up, and I was in his house. So, but he was very kindly. This huge preamble is away. He was very kind to say that he would give me another chance. So here he is, this time on our Riverside platform. So we're not together, but hello, Phill. Thank you so much for doing this.
We are not together, but we've had that together experience.
We have had that experience. We didn't record it, and it just ended in just abject humiliation. And it just, that thing when, and I don't know, is it a generational thing? I think I'm fine with the equipment when it all runs smoothly, but that little kind of hitch was not great. But anyway, that all said, we're here today. And I said, I think really interested to find out more about you, obviously, but also to talk a bit more about the confidence that can come from good style and good grooming. And Phil's a man who is really, really stylish himself. But
question for you then.
Go on then.
What was your
flipping it all right?
I am. What was your first impressions? Because we met.
We did
at this event.
We did.
And you've said some very nice things about how I look. So what was the first impression? Because I am really curious. And one of a lot of the reasons why guys come to me is because of the first impressions they're creating is not the impressions they want. So I'm interested.
Okay. Well, I think, we had this sort of joke that I think we had a similar sort of outfit. Like I think, as I recall, was in some sort of denim shirt and a sort of green cargo chino trouser. And you also had that sort of same colorway, but I think much more stylish, probably better stuff. But I think the thing that that caught my eye first of all was the signature hairstyle. Like Phil's quite tall, and people who are watching on the YouTube or seeing this visually will see Phil's great hair. And we chatted about this in the recording that didn't happen. But I think, there shouldn't be, but almost this idea, this kind of cliche that somehow as men reach their middle age, 40s and 50s, you kind of give up on all things stylish and that sort of trope that, you know, the guy's just in the kind of rubbish polo shirt and, you know, rubbish tracksuit, you know, just sort of giving up on it. And I think what's striking, and it shouldn't be striking, but what's striking about Phill, we're both men in our early 50s. Phill looks really cool. He has a cool haircut, but it's not, to me anyway, I don't think it's someone that's, you didn't strike me as someone that's, you know, you don't want to do that thing where you're trying to dress a whole ton younger than you actually are. I thought it was all, well, it all felt right, but it felt like someone who, there was a sort of a purposefulness about it. You know, it was intended. It was intentional. That's the word, isn't it? Sort of intentional, but not overdone, not kind of overstyled. So yeah, I mean, I suppose there's that thing in your back of your head that, oh, okay, I like the fact that this stylish guy is picked kind of similar colorways to me. That's good. But yeah, I think I was struck by a cool haircut, which I think you're a Murdoch man, aren't you, for hair? We can get into all of that.
So I go to so my barber, he travels around. So I essentially stalk him for the six or 7 years. Whenever he moves from a salon to somewhere else, Jay is uber cool, and he cuts this style. And I think he introduced me to this disconnected, where the sides are totally shaved, and I have this quiff. And I think they called it like a cyber something. I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. Yeah, I want this cyber, whatever it is. And so he introduced me, and often in the summer, I'll have no hair on the sides. It'll be all whacked off. So I think it's called a psychobilly, something like that. I don't know. But he introduced me to this haircut, so I follow him around. He's currently in Murdoch's, but you know, wherever he takes flight to, I track him down, because he does this in half an hour. I mean, he knows my hair well, and I'm very lucky to still have a full head of hair at 53. You know, and I
call it the Phill Tarling. That it's kind of, it works for me. But no, it's really good. But listen, before we're going to certainly talk about, you know, products you use, of course, and hair and all those good things. But I think it'd just be great to kind of set the scene. So you're a stylist who has the privilege and pleasure of working with celebrities and also guys who want styling sessions, personal shopping, consultations, that kind of thing. It'd be great if you could just give me a sort of flavor of, if you're allowed to, the kind of people you work with and what your kind of ethos is in terms of being a male stylist.
Yeah. So the sort of guys that come to me, it's not the sort of guys that you think.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, just because so everybody assumes that celebrities have stylists, and celebrities have egos, and celebrities have people, and they have entourage, and they have management, and they have glam squads, and you know they have butterflies and pigeons and doves and like the whole shebang. They have kind of coachfuls of people. Yeah. They have people, and so the assumption is if you have a stylist, then you must be you just must be egocentric. You must think yourself so high that you need to have a stylist, and nothing could be further from the truth. In my experience of the guys that come to me, all sorts of men from all walks of life, and not what you expect, and they have a few things of common, and 25% of my clients are women who buy me for their significant other as a gift. Right. I call it the gift of style. You can buy a voucher of my services. So they buy the gift of style. And it's essentially men who have wardrobes full of clothes and they don't feel good in them. It doesn't reflect their lifestyle or ambitions, and they generally feel overwhelmed. And the thought of going through their wardrobes, working out what works, what doesn't work, why, all those things, it's so daunting that they just rather live feeling bad about how they dress than actually dealing with the issue.
Yeah. And do you think they sort of revert to wearing the same stuff over and over, just the things that they kind of know what they think works?
We all do. We're all men. We're all creatures of habit. We shop the same. We go to the same places. If something runs out, we just go and replace. We don't, and we probably wear 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time. We just have the same things. We grab the same things that'll go in the laundry, will come out, we'll wear it again. That's just the nature of men. We don't need a big wardrobe. We just need a wardrobe that does big things. So actually less is more. And often guys are stuck in a rut. And they're really frustrated about their clothes, and they have peer pressure, and they know they need to look important, and they know they need to make changes, and whatever they put on doesn't suit them, and they just don't feel authentic in their clothes. And it's back to what you said earlier on. Often men just give up because it's easier just to wear the same things they stand the test of time. It's no effort, and better this than something else.
I thought it was interesting that you were talking about it isn't just you coming in with your services and sort of buying a whole new set of clothes. Part of it, I suppose, is that editing process of saying, actually, you've got some great pieces here. Have you thought about wearing that with that, or this would make a great outfit, or just kind of creating a kind of capsule wardrobe with what people have some of the time, maybe?
I'm not an advocate. I'm not advocate of having to buy more and more and more. It's unnecessary. It's just we just have to learn to buy more intelligently. And if we look at our wardrobe and realise that we're wearing 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time, there's a lot of stuff in our wardrobe that is just blocking a flow of wearing nice clothes. And it's often we can't see the nice clothes because there's stuff in the way. And that stuff is that overwhelming stuff that makes dressing difficult in the morning. And it shouldn't be difficult to dress, and it shouldn't be difficult to put clothes on that make us feel confident. But the guys that come to me are the guys that want to feel confident, but they don't know how to. They don't know how to dress confidently. And for women, for years, they have language and able to express, and they are fully engaged with style and fashion, and have for a very long time. Whereas men are very late to the table on this, and they're catching up, and they are looking at themselves in the mirror literally, and they're holding themselves up against other men, and they're realizing that they're falling short. And one of the main things that is affecting them is the fact that they know they don't look as good as they should. And then the other guys that come are essentially these high achievers who are cash rich, time poor, don't have bandwidth, don't have any emotional intelligence to want to go shopping. I mean, let's be honest, what man wants to go shopping? It's a very small percentage. And there are men who enjoy going shopping, yes. But generally speaking, the vast majority find it a very painful process. And they come to me because they realize I have solutions. I know how to do this. I have a very streamlined process to use a minimal amount of their time to get a maximum amount of clothes that will radically change how they feel about getting dressed in the morning.
There you go. And it just sounds like, I think we can all identify with that idea of just looking through a wardrobe. And I know personally there's things I've held on to over the years, and there's this sort of wishful thinking that, at some point I'm going to come back to that shirt or that pair of trousers. And the chances are I'm not. But as you say, then they're sort of just taking up space in my wardrobe and probably stopping me choosing things that would work better together. And I suppose there's also that thing of, sometimes as you gain weight or lose weight, do you hold on to clothes that were that fitted with a certain size that you were, and maybe you're not that anymore, whichever way it goes. But I suppose, and the other thing, as you were talking, it made me think of, I'm sure it's obvious, but do you think now with social media and, obviously people posting and the fact that we're on social media more, but then also now this idea of having to do so many more Zoom calls and be on screen virtually, does that play a part in people contacting you? Do you think it's because we have to sort of look at ourselves a bit more?
I think we have to look at ourselves a bit more. Yes. And I am always irked when I go on Zooms, not today, just FYI, but when I go on Zooms And the lighting is bad. There is no. I mean,
Lighting's not great.
Okay, I'm facing light right now. There is light drenching in. I am well lit. We are so used to on TV seeing things that are well lit. So when I am in a Zoom with somebody where the camera is down, looking up at a chin, and the background is distracting, and who knows what's on the shelf in the background. We've all seen those.
Yeah.
And it's badly lit, and I just don't think that's okay. And I think men are realizing that just by putting a few simple things in place, it's a game changer. I've got a light on me. It's a game changer. If I turned that light off, I probably would be in relative darkness. And a lot of people think that's okay to run a Zoom like that. I just think it's incredibly distracting. Men are incredibly visual. We are visual people and are stimulated visually. And so there are a few things we can put in place to up our game, to go from good to great.
Yeah, and I think we're kidding ourselves if we don't think people do make judgments based on this stuff, and we all have our sense of personal brand and everything like that. So if you're doing a work call or whatever it might be, I think it's beholden upon you to try and look the best you can, and I mean, that's something that you can help with.
I think as well we are in we're in an age. Age is a big thing, and women have felt this for years. They've been under the pressure of ageism in the workplace, and men too are now feeling the same pressure. Guys that are coming to me are in their 40s and 50s and are fully aware that the guys that are coming up behind them dress well. They know how to dress. They dress with confidence. They come in with swagger and confidence. And a lot of that is because they've got the right armor on. They've dressed well in the morning. They know how to get dressed, and they walk into the office with their skinny frothy mochaccino and all things firing on their handsets, and they just walk with confidence. And men in the 40s and 50s who are tired and have kids, probably going off to university and having to pay left, right, and centre for 101 things that are plate spinning and balancing, and they think having to look good is just so way down that pecking order, and realising that it's something that needs to elevate quite high up. Because one thing our gents are really aware is you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and a first impression is a little bit like when you're having to concrete in a post, and if you get that wrong, you just never recover. And it's the same with the first impression. And men, and it's so true.
Yeah,
when you think of it, I'm like, how do you reverse a first impression? You can't. If you think of some of the people that you've had a first impression of, which is, essentially why I asked you about your first impression of me. Yeah. If you think of the people that you've had a first impression of, it takes less than a 200th of a second or 20th of a second for us to make up our mind about someone. Based on what we see in front, even before they open their mouths, we have made a call on who we think they are, where we think they're from, financially, how well off do we think they are, how warm a person, how successful they are, and we will have made this backstory on people based on how they look, and men are aware of that now, and they're holding themselves up to other men, thinking, well, he looks successful, and he looks successful, and he looks confident and successful. Therefore, there must be a correlation with looking confident and being successful and how I look.
I think you're absolutely right, and you obviously talked about some of the men that will come and use your services, but there's another side of it, which is celebrity styling. How does that differ? I mean, maybe you could talk about, I don't know if you can talk about people you work with, or certainly that approach if you're doing your styling for screen or for editorial, things like that.
So when it comes to personal styling, a personal client will decide how they want to look. We have a consultation. It's in depth. It's 2 hours. We go through vast amount of questions for me to tease out from them what exactly they want, because men don't have that language. They often come to me saying, I don't know how I want to look, but I know how I don't want to look. So there's a working it out. But with celebrities, I have to talk to execs of TV shows and directors and producers and agents and artists, and then have a budget and then make all that magic happen from all those viewpoints. So it's not just the viewpoint of one person, how they want to look on set, on stage, bearing in mind, have to think about what lighting is going on around them, what colours they can wear, what colours they can't wear, what textures work and don't work on TV, and more importantly, the budget that they give me to make that stretch. So actually, the difference between a personal client who I tease out that information versus whole raft of people that are involved in making a TV show or an editorial shoot, they all have a very strong idea of how they want somebody to look. And so I have to take that information and create something. Sometimes I'm asked to bring ideas to the table, but generally speaking, most people say, this is how we want the talent to look. This is how we want this shoot to look. Can you go out and find that stuff?
And there's a lot of people to please there, isn't there? And to find that compromise and to find that sweet spot that's going to work for the talent, the exec, what's going to work on screen. So, I suppose there's some diplomacy required as well, right?
Yes. I mean, fortunately, it's a lot of diplomacy. Fortunately, by my very nature, I am a people pleaser. So I work really, really, really hard to make people happy. That my kids will find that unbelievable, quite frankly. But in my business world, I work really hard to make people happy. So yes, there are a lot of opinions, and there are a lot of strong opinions. But delivering, I've done my job since 1997. So delivering, and I'm still here, and I worked through COVID, and I worked in TV and film, and a whole symphony of and strands of what I do as a stylist and an image consultant. I've continued to work across a few decades, and I'm still here. And that's because I'm experienced, and I know how to have conversations with different people, and I know how to be kind to people, even though I think their ideas might suck and they're not going to work. And they come to me saying, I want the presenter to look like this, and a presenter that I've worked with for maybe many years, and I'm able to say, I can categorically say the presenter will not wear those clothes. Can we work around this? Yeah. I have that experience where I can bring that to the table, and not like in some sort of kind of sugar, but in a that's not going to work. In a
real practical, tangible way. Yeah.
I can already see conflict. So let's before I go out and buy all these clothes and take them to the client, take them to the presenter and have a fitting, and the presenter says, I don't like any of this. Before any of that waste of time happens, I can go, no, I can already work out. We need to find a way around this little solution. This is what I know from the client. So let me bring that to the table. Let's see what we can work around. And invariably, execs, producers, directors are just, well, the people I work with are generally charming, and they say, well, we just want the talent to be happy.
Yeah. And
which is what we all do. We just, the end result should be, we want, a personal client, they want to be happy. A celeb client, they on TV, on film, in a commercial, in music, in an advert, presenting a show, they just want to feel authentic and be them and feel happy. So essentially, we've all got the same end goal.
Yeah. But I think we talked briefly before we started recording about this sort of freelance life. And I think, as you say there, the fact that you've been able to do what you do for, over three decades? Well, yeah. So, yeah. Since the 90s, I mean, and on a freelance basis where it's not like anyone's paying you every month of the year. People are returning to you because they like what you do and you provide a good service. And it seems like there's so many more components to it than just obviously having, understanding style and having a good eye, because there is that whole thing of just being someone that you can talk to and that can give someone confidence and is a diplomat. And yeah, and he's well organised and all of those things. It's a very sort of multifaceted role, isn't it? I think.
I could probably smash out 5 attributes I think that would make a good stylist, and it's a bit
Go
like
on then.
it's a bit like a cake. You know how you want, what is the ultimate bake? Well, you don't want a soggy bottom, so there is ingredients that goes in.
I'm looking forward to this,
bottom.
Phil. It feels like you've been working on this
I've been working
Stylist
on it.
cake recipe.
So one of the things I did before I go on to what I'm about to say, remind me that I'm going to give you attributes. One of the things I did in lockdown was I wrote a course, how to be a personal shopper, how to be a personal stylist. I did because I was going to be flown out Easter of 2020 as we were going into lockdown. I was going to fly out to Dubai and teach at a college in Dubai. And I know, so I wrote this course so I could teach. And then we all went into lockdown, and like every educational institution, had to pivot and work out how can we continue to teach our students and
virtually,
online, virtually. So they said to me, "Great, will you teach this online?" So I created this course, and on this course, I talk very briefly about what makes for a good stylist. What are the attributes? So if I feel like I'm a little bit smug, it's because I feel like I should know what, and having done the job for X amount of years, I should know some of the ingredients that goes into making a good stylist. And organisation, being organised is one of them. Now, in my personal life, my kids and my family would laugh because I'm generally the last person in the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is that because you're working on the hair?
The Barney is perfect. I mean, the Barney just literally, I wake up like this. I kid you not. This is how I wake up. All I have to do is put a bit of shaving foam in my hair, and
we'll get into the product.
Go.
And
okay.
Yeah.
But it's about being organised. And in my professional world, I'm so organised because we've already alluded that I'm talking to execs, directors, producers, agents, talent, and that takes a lot of organising to work out who I'm meeting, whether it's in person, whether it's in a studio, whether it's in a coffee shop, whether it's in an agency, whether it's that's a lot of organisation, a lot of appointments and events. We both met an event. We know how important it is to turn up on time and not be fashionably late. I'm not okay with fashionably late. I think on time is the right time. And so being organised, events and shoots, and then personal clients, and all this could be happening at the same time. So over the next couple of weeks, we were talking before we were recording about having to find plate spin 101 things and being organised. I find when I turn up on a shoot, when I turn up to work with a client, when I turn up to do a fit-in, when I turn up, being organised is the thing that makes me sweat the least. So if I could turn up and hang all my clothes up on a rail, put my shoes in the right place and jewellery or stuff here and accessories there, and a client comes into the room and they just got to flick through a rail and they're not pulling stuff out of a bag, being organised just sends out the right message. So organised.
It's critical, isn't it? I think.
Critical.
Number one.
But not all stylists are.
No, I'm sure.
I would say the majority. A majority are a bit like last minute, and it's all a bit, all a bit tense and all a bit throw stuff around. It's all a bit dramatic, and there's like five assistants and a couple of yappy dogs. I don't have assistants, and I don't have any yappy dogs. I am the yappy dog. So being
the
organised.
shoot can only have one yappy dog.
Yeah, and
it's me.
I'm the yappy dog. And so being organised is crucial, and I get that from my film and TV background, where I started when I left Wales a gazillion years ago in '91 to work at the BBC. So I've had this instilled in me on how to work, number one.
Yes.
And then number two, my styling 101 is always body shapes. Like body shapes. How can you style someone that you don't know what their body shape is? Like it's mental. And there are 5 main body shapes for men. There's oval, rectangle, triangle, inverted triangle, and the trapezoid. They, for me, are the 5 shapes that I work with. And yes, some of those shapes cross over, which will make more shapes, but they are the 5 basic shapes. So when you know those shapes, how you dress someone to make them symmetrical, appear symmetrical, for me is part of my job. And teaching clients, teaching personal clients and TV clients, how to balance their silhouette is something that I do. I pass that information on, and it's a game changer for them. Communication, I am communicating, as we've already talked about, so many different people at the same time, and just nailing clarity and interpretation and what exactly people need. I've learned over the years, never assume.
I know.
And so
no good guessing, is it, I suppose, with this stuff?
No. And being a people pleaser, it's not always easy to say to somebody, yeah, sorry, I didn't get that. Yeah. Nope. Still not getting it. Still not getting it. It must be me. Can you say it again in a different way that makes it more understandable to me? So I've learned that art of saying, no, it's not clear. I tell you what, don't write. Send me pictures. Send me pictures of how you want somebody to look. And they've gone,
because some people communicate in different styles, don't they? Some people, I say, much more visual, and they don't necessarily have we don't always have the vocabulary for this stuff. Yeah.
And there is a way of communication, in fact, in communicating in fashion. And I feel like it's blunt and rude. Like the rudest people I deal with are fashion and magazines, and there is a way of I just don't get that. My benchmark of allowing people to talk to me in a rude way, my benchmark is, if you're talking to me and you're more rude than my teenage daughters, then that's not okay. Because teenagers have hormones, and they have an excuse to behave in a certain way. You don't, because you're an adult and you've gone through that. So that's not okay. So
nothing grinds my gears more than just rudeness. And anyway.
Yeah. We could do a whole podcast on that.
We could,
So communication, just learning to communicate and to facilitate good communication is number 3. Number 4 is trends, fashion, and style. How do you take what you see on the catwalk? What do you take that is avant-garde or quite incredible or beautiful or extreme or just all these things that we see streamed to us from London Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week, and Italian Fashion Week, and Dubai Fashion Week, all these fashion weeks. And, oh my God, how my client going to wear this? Well, then you learn to take it and then apply a trend to a client. And the client might not want to be top to toe in leopard skin, but they might want a little touch of something that suggests...
Maybe in the belt. I don't know.
You know, in a belt or in a something. Or, you know, they might not want to wear fuchsia top to toe, but they might want a murmur of pink. So there is... There is way of learning to...
Ways of bringing it in,
Bring it in. So learning how to bring it in is number 4. And then the final one, which will be no surprise to you, for me, is personal presentation. Clients that come to me because they've gone through my website. They've probably got a short list of stylists that... And they should have a short list of stylists that they feel would do a good job for them, give them good value for money and give them a good return and leave them feeling confident. Their little short list. And then often they'll come from a website search, and then on to social media. And most of the guys, because I always ask them, because it's good to find out where your clients come from.
Yeah.
How did you find me? They'll all say, I went to your Instagram, I looked at what you're wearing, I saw the clothes that you're wearing, I saw that you were, and you were so relatable. Like, whatever you wore, I felt I could wear. And these are men in their 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah.
And so my personal presentation is important.
Of course.
And it depends on the sort of client you want. If you want to work in advertising or you want to work in music, you're not necessarily going to dress conservatively. You're probably going to be more edgy and more stylish and have these incredible stylistic pieces that you wear, and people are going to go, I want you to be my stylist because look at you, you're edgy and you're scary and you've got tattoos in places I didn't know you could tolerate pain, and you know.
And that's not your vibe, is it?
It's not my vibe. It's not my vibe.
You might have tattoos. I don't know, but
I don't have tattoos because my pain threshold is this. So my personal presentation, and we talked about my hair. My hair is important. it's important to me how my face looks. It's important to me. Not obsessive. I'm not obsessed about my face. People will say I look younger than I am, and that's because.
I would agree.
Thank you.
No,
that's probably because I've got a ton of light coming this way. See, it works.
I should have done that.
You should have done that. But I'm not saying that you don't look old as you don't look old as a result.
Sure.
Just want to clarify that. And so I'm not obsessed about my face, but it's important when clients look at me. They need to see that whatever advice I'm giving them, that I'm applying to me first. They need to look at me and go, he knows his body shape. He's got relatively nice hair. Not all my clients have hair, but they look at what I'm doing with mine and say, he's doing something intentional. You said intentionally on. He's doing something intentional. I have a really lovely aftershave that I wear. Just a murmur, and people always say, "Oh my God, you smell amazing." Yeah. I do smell amazing. I have got signature hair.
Attest to that. Phil does smell amazing.
You've been
I'm
up
not
close.
getting it today, but
You're not.
Yeah, I have smelt him in real life, and
I
I will link to. I will
scratch and sniff. Scratch and
lovely,
sniff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm getting it. I'm going to link to everyone can get to see Phil's Instagram, so I'll put all the links.
Thank you.
So you can see how it's nice. But you're absolutely right. That sense of
So number 5 was personal.
5 was personal sense of personal presentation. Yeah.
Organised, body shapes, communication, trends, and personal presentation.
Personal style.
That's how to not have a soggy bottom.
That's the cake, ladies and gentlemen. And look at it; it's a winner. Beautiful. No, I think that's really interesting, and such a great way of thinking about how you put across your own style. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more about you and your job and styling. But as always, I'm really intrigued to know about the kind of products that you might have in your morning and evening routine, because again, you strike me as someone that takes care of themselves, and we've already talked about the fabulous signature hair. So yeah, are there? It'd be great if you could run me through a sort of summary of some of the morning and evening products, because I think it's going to be really interesting for the listeners.
So I've always looked after my face. I've had sensitive skin. I have a classic T-bone, and so I think it. And it's not because my parents have taught me much. I come from a very working class background where, I was lucky if I understood how soap worked, let alone anything else. My mum, I adore my mum, adore my dad. They are good people, salt of the earth, but they knew nothing
their
about
skincare routines. My God!
My mum knew how to look after her because she's a Geordie, and we all know what Geordie birds are like. They know how to look after themselves.
They do.
But my dad was a Welsh caveman and knew nothing about. He'd be like, "What do you want to put that stuff on your face for?" And it's because I don't want to look like you when I'm older, Dad. I want to have a face that defies age. So I've always looked after my skin from a very young age. I've always washed in the morning, put a moisturiser on, and I've always washed at night and re-moisturised, however that is. And over the years, I've not had brands that I've been faithful to, but I've discovered stuff that I've used. TK Maxx is my guilty pleasure. I can't help going into TK Maxx without buying a few serums or face masks or peeling
great
stuff.
Bargains to be had in TK Maxx sometimes.
Yeah. And there's things that you put on your face that are Korean that I just can't help.
Yeah, those sort of infrared things.
Not the infrared ones, the ones that are like the masks. The masks.
Yes.
They are incredible. So I probably got hundreds in my cupboard.
So you'll experiment with stuff like that.
I do. I'll buy all that kind of stuff. And a really good hack with those face masks is you just run it under warm water. So when you take it out and you put it on your face, it's not freezing. It's warm. I don't know whether that's good or bad for the enzymes, but quite frankly, they've been in a packet a long time, who knows? So one of those. And I will actually probably go to sleep with it on my face and wake up with some sort of, I have to take it off. So I've always looked after my face.
Plaster of Paris thing, yeah.
Yeah. I've used Clarins Men, and I've enjoyed that going on my face. I've used.
So will that be a sort of a cleanser? If you sort of 3-point system, would you cleanse and then moisturize?
Cleanse, and moisturize. I will use.
It's like baking a cake.
It's like baking. When you look after it's like baking a cake. You've got 3 steps in baking this cake, and so I always wash. I have no faithful wash. I just use whatever face wash I can get on special from anywhere. They wash your face. Currently, I'm probably using mint and tea tree shower gel on my face. I mean, literally, I wash it. Sometimes I use a flannel just to wash. So I always wash with something like that. I do have a toner, so sometimes I'll from TK Maxx get a spray toner that's like a rose water.
Nice.
It does sound high maintenance, but it's really quick. Like you wash your face, quick spritz, and then I always use a moisturizer. And I recently discovered 47 Skin, and
Yes.
it's so good. My daughters use it, and they keep saying to me, "That stuff is really good, isn't it? God, that stuff is really good." And they, to me, are a good benchmark because they are all across TikTok. They know all across.
Stuff. Yeah.
They know their stuff, and they know what influencers are pushing, and they know what's on vogue and in trend, and what's the latest water that you should be taking makeup. They know all that stuff, and yet they come to my very extensive kind of shelving of toiletries.
Dad's toiletries.
It's like literally, go like their toiletries and their toiletries. It's like Dad's toiletries. They're like, these, woo! And they're using 47 Skin. It's incredible. I have a cream and a serum that I'm using, which really works on my face. It just makes my face feel good, and it's designed for eczema and rosacea, of which I don't have, but I just feel the nourishing effects. So I'm at that age with my skin where I feel like I just need to be feeding it. It's like it's like your grass in autumn time. You need to feed it now if you want it to be green in
Prepare the
spring.
ground.
Prepare. So that's...
It's funny, you mentioned 47 Skin to me when we had a coffee a few weeks ago, and obviously the wonders of your phone and Instagram stuff. It feels like I'm getting served ads for it all the time, and I'm very interested. It looks like a great product range. So again, I'll link to them.
I recently put it's on my Instagram actually. I put the mask that you peel off.
Oh yeah.
And I can only do those when I shave, and I don't shave that often. I'm very lucky that I don't have to shave. I have sensitive skin. I've got 3 different shavers that I use.
Phil.
So high maintenance.
Manual shavers?
Yeah. So I have wet. So I wet shave. So I've got blades that I wet shave. Then I have the Philips One blade, which was a game. My nephew bought that. Oh my God! My nephew bought it for Christmas a few years ago, and it's the best shaver I've ever used on my skin, and I can use it every day, and my skin does not react, and it will react. If I shaved every day, it would react. It's unbelievable. So I have this when I need to do some quick tidying up. I have some. I have a wall. So TK Maxx, 21 piece wall body clippers.
I'm just trying to imagine 21 pieces. I mean, I can think of some places that might need. I can't think of 21 little attachments. But
21. So the 21 attachments are essentially different lengths, and whether or not you're doing a left gradient or a right gradient, they have different.
And they've got all the body ones as well. Is that you can attach?
Yep. I mean, I am a furry caveman. But I'm too hairy to shave that off because within a day it'll be back. I'll be like a porcupine where it's just like So I don't.
Yeah, I'm hairy as well. It's kind of.
It's I don't mind. How do we say this? I don't mind manscaping. I don't mind tidying up, but I don't get rid.
You won't go all the way.
No, I just no.
Like you say, you're kind of fighting a losing. I mean, I get why people do it and stuff, but it's like you've been doing it every few days. Full on hedge trim.
I did have confession. I did have my back lasered.
Did you?
Yeah, by this incredible company. These guys were brilliant, and 10 sessions. And it's pretty much.
And it'll never come back, then, Phil.
Never come back. So now I've moved on.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And
I did the classic getting it in my early days. Long been married to my lovely wife Ali, who's we've now been married like 20 years. But I remember in the early days of dating, I had this thing of like, I need to get rid of this awful back hair. So I went for the wax and just made more of a mess than just leaving it. Like, it was these horrible red kind of welts, and it was not a good experience. It looked like some kind of horror film, and that's not ideal. So I didn't do that again. But yeah, so I think laser, that sounds like a good move.
So my hair is like the roots of gigantic tree trunks, you know, and you're trying to rip those off. But honestly, after
like The Hangover, what film was it? Oh, 40-Year-Old Virgin, wasn't it? Do you see that? Steve Carell.
I did. Yeah. So essentially, you know, they'll paint the wax on and then whoosh,
yeah, awful.
and then again. By the time they've done the third or the fourth, I'm soaking. The adrenaline is pumping. I'm sweating. They can't even get a grip because there's so much sweat.
And we know you have a low pain threshold.
Low pain threshold.
We know this already.
We know this. So why would you put yourself through that? I clearly did. And then discovered
laser,
and it's a game changer. My wife is really happy with me, Harry. She has no issues at all.
Yep.
They're my issues.
It's a personal choice. No,
they are my issues. So I've resolved the back one. I won't take hair off any other part of my body apart from my neck. That's the next place that I'm working on. Apart from my neck. But
it's interesting, and it's a sort of maybe a separate conversation, but I think I'm kind of with you in that there must be something societal about the fact that we don't mind, we don't mind chest hair too much, but it seems like there's a real problem with back hair. Like, I don't know, I'm just get on the soapbox, but it feels like it's the one thing that people can still say to, you know, you could read online, or, you know, women saying, oh God, you know, you had back hair, that's hideous. It feels like, you know, most other things we have to be very judicious and careful about what we talk about. But actually, if a man has back hair, which clearly he can't really do anything, you know, just how it's gone, he can't really do much about it other than do all the shaving stuff. But it feels like the one thing you can kind of laugh at and point at, and I don't know. So it's a really interesting debate. And why is it that somehow that seems more unattractive than a bit of chest hair? Although, again, you know, if you watch any of the programs, you know, the Love Islands, all those kind of shows now, even any kind of, on the men I'm talking about, you know, there doesn't seem to be any kind of hair anymore, does it? Everyone's got sort of these amazing Greek god tattoos all over their chest, as I demonstrate. But no one has any hair, do they?
No, I think it's fair to say.
What's going on now? Say, like an old man in his 50s, but yeah.
Like an old hairy man in his 50s.
Old hairy man with a hairy pack, as we've now discovered. But yeah, what is it about back hair? But yeah, hair in general seems to be off menu. I think it's porn. Let's blame porn.
We can blame porn, but also I will say, yeah, we've done that. Tick, blame porn. I also think there's probably hairy porn. There's probably smooth porn. There's probably. I
could find some specialists. The people would be interested somewhere in my fat hairy body.
Why don't you put that link up as well, please?
My OnlyFans channel.
Your only hair.
It's just hair.
It's just hair.
Hair in the plug hole.
This could go on and on.
Sorry.
I'm going to come back. I'm going to bring it back just for now.
You must.
And I'm going to say, I do feel like there was a generation that are pro smooth, no hair, full of abs, and that is, you know, this kind of teens to 20s. You look at them all; they're working hard. I don't know what an ab was when I was in my teens and 20s.
And it's not a judgment, by the way, on these things. It's like everyone does what they want to do, but it's sort of interesting that it seems to be the last taboo now that, oh God, you can't be hairy.
But I do think it's important to say that there are plenty of men out there who are more extraordinarily happy with their hair, and I think that's how it should be. I think it's taken me a long time to be really happy with my hair and be happy with being hairy, because there's a lot out there to suggest there are other ways that you should be more happy, that you should be more happy like this, not like that. And I am happy with my hair, and I'm happy with if I want to trim it down in the summer because I don't want to scorch my chesticles, so I want to actually get some cream onto my skin. I'm happy to trim. I'm really happy to trim, but I'm also happy not to trim. I'm happy to be the master of, do I trim my arms, and where do I stop, or do I not? I'm happy.
You're the master of that, Phil.
I'm the master of my hair.
But listen, tell me about, because you mentioned it before, about this this waft of your signature scent. So I experienced it myself, but tell me what your signature scent is and what it is you like about it.
So my signature scent came about quite a few years ago when I was working for a million/billionaire, and I was working for I was flown back and forth.
Who will remain nameless.
But was incredible, and just dropped tens of thousands in my account to go and buy clothes, and then I would put them in a case, and I would fly to his island, and I would do a fitting, and I would bring all the clothes back. I would
straight away. I'm thinking. Sorry to interrupt. Straight away, I'm thinking. It's Jeffrey Epstein, isn't it? Can we clear up that it's not Jeffrey Epstein?
Can we just clear up that it's nobody American? It's nobody across that way of the pond. It's
on his private island.
It's no private island.
With young masseurs.
Yes, no hairy masseurs. So, and then I'd fly home, get everything altered, and then fly back again and get it all signed off. Right. And whilst I was doing that gig, needless to say, I was paid very well by somebody who totally understood the service that I was delivering, an exceptional service, and they paid really well for that. And I remember thinking, I want to use that money well, so I got my teeth done.
And look at them, they're great.
And when I say I got them done, they're not perfect.
What did you do?
I had something called the 6-month smile, where it was just plastic tram tracks on my teeth, and I'd go in every month and my dentist would tighten them. I had a crossover in my teeth at the bottom, and I just wanted those straighter, but to straighten these I had to straighten the whole set bite. And so I had that done, so they are straighter but not immaculate. And then he asked me if I wanted to have them filed like an American. Like you can have American style, which is white, kind of straight and perfect. And I said, I just don't feel this is kind of needs that level of precision. There's nothing here that says precision. It says intentional. It says I've thought about doing my hair, but it's not like I'm immaculate. It doesn't say.
So what did you do? What did you go for?
I had the 6-month smile, which straightened. I have a retainer on the back.
You didn't file any or anything like that?
The only one he filed was the front two on my canines. I said, just take them down so that they even had a chip in this tooth. A friend's kid managed to
punch you in the face.
Punched me, literally headbutted me in the face. I was like, "Oh, my face! My face!
I hate your clothes."
Oh, my face, my face, and a little chip out there. Nobody would have noticed unless you were staring at my teeth. Unless you're.
Is that a painful thing then? It sounds a silly question, but you're doing the sort of filing. Is it uncomfortable?
The filing is not uncomfortable because you don't really feel that. What's uncomfortable with my pain threshold? 0 is going in and having to have your mouth open for an hour, and he's literally one by one tweaking and pulling and then after that not being able to do much with my mouth, and I didn't have a bite, so I couldn't. So he stopped my bite, so I couldn't chew anything. I couldn't eat anything tough. I literally was eating. I was eating kind of soup. I was just literally anything. Right. I was. And so that's what I spent my money on. My teeth,
and then fragrance.
And so I decided and I would like to have a fragrance that was really special. Yeah. And I remember walking past Penhaligon's.
Oh yes.
And they pump out a smell, and I walked past, and I drifted back again, and I went in, and I said, "What is this smell that you're pumping out?" And they said, "It's our number one smell. It's called Helvetii." And I said, I'm just going to buy it. And it was £170 for 100 millilitres. And because I had worked hard and well, I decided that my teeth and my smell were going to be winners that year. And I bought it, and it lasts amazingly. And recently I bought Helvetii Leather, which is a kind of a stronger smelling.
One of their flankers, sort of a different...
One of the flankers, which the missus doesn't like. So I now have to wear this anytime I don't think I'm going to be in close proximity with it. But the problem is, it's such a good aftershave.
It really
sits on your skin for days, and your clothes are literally it's like you've sprayed them with DEET. You can't get rid of the smell of DEET. It's like this stuff just seeps into your clothes. When you pull something out of the wardrobe that that 20% that you actually wear, when you pull it out, it smells of the aftershave. It's incredible. So that's my signature. So when I walk into a room, you see hair, you see good teeth, and I generally have glasses on as well, which I haven't got because of the big super duper light there. But I always have glasses.
See, again, you've sort of trumped me. I've got these are sort of green, but I really liked your glasses.
So these are green also. These are made from felled trees in Italy from a storm in 80-something.
Of course they are.
It's a story. It's always a story, and they're by a brand called Feb 31st, who do really the most incredible, innovative, and interesting eyewear. And I was introduced these by Dan, who is an eyewear stylist in Manchester.
An eyewear stylist. Who knew there was a thing?
I know.
But again, brilliant, because clearly they really work for the shape of your face, and that's intentional, and all. You've picked the right kind of thing.
Yeah, and also I don't scare anyone. If you're a 30, 40, 50-year-old, somebody who's lost their way with fashion, don't know how to dress, feeling overwhelmed, have no confidence, and so many things, and you know that you need to get a stylist, and it's not because you're feeling like a total egocentric kind of celeb. It's because you know you need help, and if you've got some financial issues, you reach out to a banker. If you've got an issue with something in your house, you reach out to a labourer. If you've got something wrong with your central heating, you generally reach out to a specialist, an engineer. So, it's the same principle.
Go to the experts.
You go to an expert. But I don't know what I was saying.
But everything you were saying there about, your own personal style in the clothes, in the hairstyle, in the face, and then finishing it off, almost that kind of finishing touch with a fragrance. As you were talking about, that sense of personal brand, you are your brand. If someone wants to, if people are going to be looking at all those markers and signatures, aren't they? Because they want to know whether they should invest their money in working with you. So it is, that's why it's so fascinating to talk to you, because you've thought through all of these things and you demonstrate them in your own life and in the way that you go about things. So I think it's really interesting.
And I just feel that, if men are coming to me feeling insecure, and they're looking to me to put them on the right track with how they look, I need to inspire them with confidence. Yeah. So I'm not obsessed with how I look, but it's important to me how I look. I'm not obsessed about having to wear high fashion, having to reflect what the trends are.
The latest season or whatever.
I don't wear, the guys that come to me don't want to see me in latest fads, trends and fashions. They want to see that I look confident, that I'm dressed well, and they relate.
You're well put together.
And so that's that's the hair, that's the glasses, that's the clothes, that's the I'm starting to I'm starting to. Having said I'm not obsessed, I'm now starting to have some stuff done on my face, and so I've discovered this. I was given a voucher by a very, very kind friend, and it was to go to the Atelier Clinic in Egham to have facial or have something done. So I went there and I had a hydrofacial, which was ridiculously incredible. It's like having you lie back in this heated lounger kind of bed, and I have an incredible lady who looked after me, and she explained the procedure, and I literally was drifting off as she was just chatting through things. And it's this kind of tube that just sucks all the nasty. All the nasty.
Oh, that sounds great.
I'm sure there's a technical term for it, but it sucks all the. And for literally 2 weeks, I was glowing like no man.
You had a ready brick glow.
I literally had this ready brick glow. It was incredible. So then I went back and before they do anything with your face, they put you through like a massive consultation. They put you through all these machines that kind of dig, kind of layer to layer to layer, they dig deep and they look at your face and they look at how it is now, the process of your face, how the deep levels of your skin, and also how you're going to look in a few years' time, which is pretty scary. And so I've just started a course of IPL, and it is this collagen boosting, anti-aging, age spot, sun damage procedure on
Do you know what it stands for? What's IPL? Do you know?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me that.
Oh no, don't worry. Only because I don't know, so we can look it up.
Yes, yeah. I should know that.
Sorry, is that a laser thing then?
It's a laser treatment that essentially they use it to target. So my nose is red. I don't drink. I've never drank alcohol in my life, but I have like this big red schnozzle. It's red and angry and porous.
No,
and
I don't think so.
No, it's because I've got great lighting. I've got great lighting. And so I'm distracted by plants. So and I've got broken blood vessels. I know because even though I'm not obsessed, I have a mirror in my bathroom that is slightly magnified.
Oh, the magnified one, yeah.
So I can, I can see what I've got ingrowing hairs, and I can yank them out, which is the thing that you're never supposed to do. I do.
Yeah.
And so, and particularly when you're hairy like me, literally my hair grows all the way down. So I want to yank those little annoying things out. Yeah. So I have a mirror for that, and I noticed that I had broken vessels under here and sun damage here, and so I thought, you know what? I spoke to the guys at Atelier Clinic, and I said, what do you think I should do? And they said, no, this IPL is definitely it's a laser.
It's a 10-part course then.
I think 3 to 5 or 3 to 6. I don't think this is 10-part. No, it could be infrared laser, IPL, no, infrared something laser.
I'd be guessing at it.
I am guessing, but I know it L for laser.
Answers on a postcard, please.
And it's not the most pleasant because it's a little bit like if you were to flick elastic band on your face. The part where it hurts is the part that's been damaged, and therefore it's the part that they're repairing. So I've had one session. I have another, and I'll have them every 3 weeks to allow it enough healing time. And the result is that my face should look a little bit more airbrushed, which sounds like a complete. But it just evens and gives an impression of youthfulness. But like I said, I'm not obsessed, even though I sound obsessed because I've said I'm not obsessed too many times. It's like, I'm not an alcoholic.
He protests too much.
He really protests too much. But I also feel like...
It'd be really interesting, I think, and actually, joking aside, it'd be really interesting to see the before and after on something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah. And I think I think I'll probably pop up a lot on the Atelier Clinic's socials because I said it's a journey that I'm happy to share because I don't want people to go, oh, God, how come you look so young? And I'm like, oh, I'm naturally like this and I drink mineral water. I mean, I don't. I don't drink any water. I drink gallons of coffee.
Really good coffee.
I drink really, really...
I've seen Phil's coffee machine at his house. It's spectacular.
It is spectacular. It's important. Coffee is important to me.
It is to me too. Well, it'd be really interesting to chart what happens with that, and we'll definitely pick up on that.
And I wanted to be kind of... people don't need to know every detail.
No, but you want to be honest.
But I want to be honest, and if people say, "Oh, you look good," I want to say, "Yeah, it costs a lot of money."
Yeah, so I've done this.
This is not cheap, but it's important to me. It's something I have prioritized.
Yeah, and you mentioned it's a nice segue. You talked about your bathroom mirror and the magnifying side of it. So it comes to the part in the podcast where, as the name suggests, I'm sort of interested in your idea of the man that looks back at you. So, how do you feel when you look in the bathroom mirror because it seems, as we've picked up in the podcast, you do take care and you're, mindful of these things. So what do you feel about what looks back at you these days?
I am reconciling the man that I am and rather than the man that I'm not. So for years, I've looked at the man that's looked back going, well, you're not this and you're not that. And why have you not got a smooth back, and why are you not this, and what, and why are you not successful, and why this. I've just seen this
harsh stuff as well.
Harsh critic, and there's nothing wrong with being we need to be our own honest critic. But I was not. But
it can tip too far, can't it?
Yeah, and I was not, and it's taking me, half a century to realize. To realize that I put myself under pressure, that I had these expectations on myself that I needed to be successful, and what did successful look like, and how much money I should be earning, and why are they earning more, and why have they got that client, and how come they're successful, because they're not as organized as me, and I've got all the right attributes, and yet they've got all the right jobs, and how does that reconcile? It's not reconciling, and I wasn't looking at what I had.
So you've found a way to reframe that then now.
I'm 53, and you realise, oh my God, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter in the way that it used to matter, and it shouldn't have mattered. But at the time it mattered to me. What I didn't have mattered more than what I actually have. And so the next 50 years, I'm going to. I don't think I look too bad, and I don't.
I mean, my goodness, I think you're in incredible shape,
and I don't think I have it bad, and I have an incredibly supportive family who know that I like looking in the mirror. They know that I'd smash them out the way to get to the mirror.
This podcast was made for you, Phill.
This podcast was
man in the mirror.
Made for me, and they're happy.
We were made for you.
And they get to enjoy all my products. Like I don't know how many dads took their daughters for their first bra fitting, or how many dads took their daughters to buy their prom dresses. That's the privilege I had. It's really unusual, but it's my job. It's what I do. I've styled women and men, and my daughters think it's normal. My daughters, when they were 7, 8, 9, 10, would run up to an Ann Summers window and push their face up against it and go, "Oh, Daddy, look at your work. Look at her earrings. Look at her heels," while she's wearing some sort of crotchless thong. And I'm like, yes, that's Daddy's
all these
work.
people going, what's going on with those girls?
Why are those irresponsible parents?
Lingerie.
Why are those irresponsible parents letting their children look at hookers in windows? And just because, I have these...
It's all turned out fine, by the way.
It's all
They're
turned
lovely,
out
well-balanced girls.
They are incredible girls, and I'm okay with being faddy, and I'm okay with being mature, and I'm okay with being experienced. I'm okay with being particular, which means maybe I'm discovering that I'm slightly neurodiverse, and I like things done a particular way, and if it's not, I get a little bit cross, and maybe I get a little bit not very PC. I'm okay with being imperfect. I'm okay with having to try and work out my extrovert, introvert, the fact that I know how to be an extrovert, but it empties my social battery, and you
need to recharge at home.
And I need to recharge at home in a cave with 10 coffees. I'm okay with being old school. I'm okay with having to pick up a phone and not send a WhatsApp. I'm okay with being old school. I'm okay with pleasing people less, and people and pleasing myself more. And I think
I can identify with that, absolutely.
And the one thing I've learned, and I am learning and I'm reconciling, is that pleasure and pain is growth. And for years I just thought pleasure was good and pain was bad. And I've discovered that actually we need them both to grow.
The yin and the yang of it, I think so too. Yeah.
And
that's really interesting, Phill.
That's what I see.
There endeth the lesson, according to Phill Tarling. That was really, really interesting. And I always end the podcast by asking the guest about the things that bring them joy and make them happy. And I feel like maybe we've heard lots of these things along the way anyway, like good coffee, fine teeth, good aftershave. But I mean, and some people take this, in a kind of literal way, or it's whatever it means to you. But I wonder about the things that make you happy, Phill.
I have incredible job satisfaction, and I help many men turn a painful process into pleasure, and that's incredible job satisfaction. That
You get
makes
reward from that.
me so happy when I finish a styling session and they jump in the car with 8 bags of clothes, and I know that they're transformed, and they message me on WhatsApp because they're old school. And they message me to saying, I just want to tell you that people are saying I look really great, but have no idea why. What you have done is incredible.
Yeah.
So
that's very rewarding.
So rewarding. I've already alluded. I have the most supportive family. They love all my funny, peculiar ways. They love that their dad and husband is a stylist, and what the drama sometimes that unfolds. Or
so they celebrate that, right?
Well, they celebrate it.
Yeah,
They're
that's
just
great.
It's
That's
incredible.
what you need.
Self-care makes me really happy. Having a wet shave makes me really happy.
Me too.
Going to the
With this beard, no, just a tidy up, but even actually, that process of sorting the beard out. No, I know what you mean.
Just sitting in that chair and knowing for half an hour it's all about me.
So would you go to a barber and have the full wet shave?
Yeah, Truefit and Hill are Truefit and Hill my go-to for wet shaves.
Yeah,
absolutely love Truefit and Hill. They do on a side note. If I'm not wearing Panhaligans for any reason, there are 2 smells that Truefit and Hill have. One called Mayfair, which is this incredible fresh cologne.
Really good.
If I want to smell fresh and citrusy and cologne, that
classic
would be
barbershop profile, hasn't it?
I want so Barbary. So that would be my alternative smell. Having a facial and a wet shave is incredible. Going to my barber every month to get this done is it's not just important, it's self-care. I know I've booked it in. I take him in an oat flat white because I know that makes him happy, and I see him and we don't talk very much. We don't have much conversation. He cuts my hair and we might say a few things, but we sit in the chair.
I thought you'd be chatting.
No.
So that's a time for you.
Yeah. I remember once when I went to really, really posh hairdressers, and a separate person took me to this dark room to wash my hair. And while they were washing and massaging hair, they started making conversation. I went, "Oh, please, can't I just stop you? This is so pleasurable. Please don't talk. This is just." And they
just
went,
want to enjoy it.
Which made me sound really creepy. I'm like, "Oh, really, Joe?
Stop
talking so loudly."
And then just listening to the AMSR kind of
it was just lovely. So that and coffee. Coffee is important to me. For my 50th, just me and the missus went to Verona, and I booked myself on a latte art course. I had half a day of learning.
Come on,
that's how much I like coffee. I could have gone to Brick Lane to have a latte art course.
I went to
Verona, went to Italy, and then we obviously enjoyed the Italian architecture and culture and food and everything else. But so coffee, and then finally, I think this is something that doesn't make me happy, but I know I have to do it, which is fitness. And I'm really faddy. I'm really faddy with my fitness. I used to be a 36-inch waist, and then quite a few years ago, I lost weight down to 32, and now I'm maintaining a 32 through just a different approach to sugar, which is my addiction. And and I'm doing fitness more not because I like it, because I know how much it impacts my mental health and my choices. So I make better choices when I'm in a healthy frame of mind. So even though it doesn't make me happy, it doesn't. But I know mentally,
there's a benefit to doing it.
Mentally, it makes me happy in a way I don't really understand. So I've put faddy fitness because.
Oh, Phill, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you. I've really enjoyed hearing. I mean, as I joked earlier, it kind of feels like you're the absolutely perfect guest because you're so eloquent talking about your own, the work, of course, with the styling, but also your own self-care and self-image. And I think it's fascinating to talk to a professional who can articulate this idea of why it's important. The image that we give off, and say whether it's conscious or subconscious, we are giving off that impression, aren't we? So we might as well be sort of purposeful and intentional, as we said, about it. And yeah, I'll put all the details of Phil's services, but I think, it's you should certainly follow him on Instagram, and he does some great work, and you'll see what a super stylish man he is. But I hope you agree, he's a pleasure and such a fun guest. So thank you so much, Phill, and I'll see you again soon, no doubt, at an event, and we'll have a coffee, and you'll smell gorgeous. And look, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me, and yeah, you take care.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
Phill.
very much, Ian.